Alright guys, welcome back. Survival Living here. So real quick update for you guys. I've been busy out in the yard, so I look like crap. So Putin declares martial law in NX region of the Ukraine. Now guys, this isn't going into effect until Thursday, but this is something that we were expecting. Sorry guys, I'm looking at my feed right here. This is something that we were expecting with everything going on overseas with this war. Now, all these things are flagged words, by the way, but either way. So with this, guys, we don't know what's going to happen with this. I mean, we expected a martial law to go into effect, and looks like they will be doing it starting on Thursday. Looks like they're giving the security of the Russian military in these annexed regions powers to, you know, basically snatch people up if they need to. Of course, if you are invading a country, we expect to see some type of martial law go into effect, and that's what they're doing. Now, last night I got a whole bunch of emails and texts from people. Apparently a YouTuber released a video saying that Russia detonated a nuclear weapon over the Black Sea. That's untrue. All right, I mean, I had to get up and look at all this stuff about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's not true. Now, there is the story that they've been running that Russia has been threatening to do a test fire and detonation, kind of like don't mess with us type of scenario, and detonate a nuclear weapon quite possibly over the Black Sea. But that did not happen. There's a lot of people running with the story right now today that this happened. It did not happen, guys. There was no nuclear explosion over the Black Sea, so let's go ahead and calm down. If there was, I'd be letting you know. But if there was, believe me, everybody would know. All right, that's just what they're waiting for. They've been amping up on this to keep pushing this nuclear threat. And if something like this happened, yes. Now, are there a lot of military planes flying around? Sure is, and which is a good thing. There should be. All right. I watch a lot of feeds when I can, guys, and there are sub hunters and things like that flying over. I believe yesterday they were flying over the Chesapeake Bay and other locations, which they should be. All right, with all this stuff going on across the world, with the threat of a global conflict, threat of nuclear weapons, things like that. Yes, we need to have these things up in the air, looking, constantly searching. So when I see reports of these things in the air, that doesn't stress me out. I'm expecting these things. These things should already be in place, and they should be working overtime to make sure nothing ever came here on the mainland. Now, watch whatever you want to. I have no problem with that. I watch a lot of stuff, try to keep informed while I'm doing with other stuff, so I'm not faulting any other YouTuber for producing such information. They need to. You need to be aware if they got aircraft up in the air, things like that. But now for the YouTubers that were running stories of nuclear explosion, that's just complete BS. There wasn't a nuclear explosion over the Black Sea. So let's go ahead and tackle that right now. Now, I get asked a lot, what do I think about foreign troops on American soil if this goes global? It's going to have to take a lot for foreign troops to actually be here. All right, I get asked a bunch about nuclear explosions, you know, weapons hitting us here in the United States. I can't tell you either way. My thoughts, no. If they do, it's going to be a limited strike on hardened structures, maybe a large city, but it's not going to be an all-out nuclear fight. I mean, we'll react. So I really don't think that's going to be the first thing that they do. I could be wrong. My thoughts is to knock out our country before we ever get in, and that's with EMP weaponry. So technically, yes, a nuclear explosion will happen. I'm expecting a couple, actually, especially from the hypersonic missile systems, and knocking out our ability to react. That's my thoughts. I could be wrong. But this is why we also stock up alternative power, things like that, guys. You know, this is why we prep, okay? I hope most have alternative power sources that are sealed up in Faraday cages. You're protecting your equipment with Faraday bags, EMP equipment, things like that. All right, I hope that you have done this. For those that have not, can you survive without power? Yes, people can survive without power, but the reports that they've ran, all these studies and stuff, say about 90% of Americans would die without power due to an EMP. Well, yes, I can see a large percentage. I don't know if it's going to be 90%. I mean, we've got over 300 million people here. But, all right, so power's out. Yeah, you can survive without power. Okay. Let's say you're in a hot climate area, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Arizona. Without power, your house becomes a hot box. It becomes an oven. It's horrible. I've lived in these states. It's horrible. I haven't lived in Louisiana. I've been in Louisiana, worked out of there. Having the ability to even move air, just even a box fan, even though it's just hot air being moved, it still cools off, some degree. Having the ability to cool down your home is a good idea. Now, I know most people say that it's hard to run a central air conditioning unit, stuff like that with solar, even if you had solar protected. Yeah, it draws a lot of power, but even window units are easily powered by solar. We've shown that on our channel. That's what we use on a daily basis, using by solar. And we protect all of our stuff with EMP Shield, who, yes, we are affiliated with, but I'm not here to sell it to you. But if you decide to, check out the links. We protect as much stuff as possible. Everything from Faraday cages that we build ourselves and Faraday bags. Now, we've gotten hold of Faraday bags from all over the place. We teamed up with like Faraday Defense, got their equipment. That's for our sensitive electronics. We can just put in these bags, seal them up, and not have to worry. Now, a lot of people wonder about an effect of an EMP blast. Once an EMP hits, I see the comments, don't take all your stuff out just yet. That's actually good advice. You don't know if another one's fixing to pop off. Very possible. So you could wait a few days. Or if you're a prepper, you got redundancy on a lot of equipment. So you can get some equipment out. If it gets fried again, you've got backups. But yeah, give it a few days, of course. Now back to 90% of Americans dying. They're talking about medical needs, people that are reliant on medical equipment. If that stuff's not working, many people will die. They're also talking about medication delivery, stuff that you need, insulin, heart medication, all these different types of medications that will keep you alive on a daily basis. That stuff stops, all right? And this is why we've always pushed, try to store up all of the medication that you can, all right? Insulin, thankfully they went with insulin. You can actually buy that over the counter now without a prescription. And some people can't have that particular insulin. Okay, I understand that. But we try to give you as many options as possible, give you some ideas on things. Medication, guys, please make sure you got, if you need a medication to stay alive, please stockpile your medication as much as possible. Some medication needs to be refrigerated. Well, that's where alternative power comes in. Having that stuff built in Faraday cages, EMP Shield, whatever it is that you need to make sure it's safe. That'll run a mini fridge, things like that, to keep insulin cool or other type of medications you might need. Next up is water. Most of your cities, it's just about, okay, I'll go ahead and say it, all your cities are set up on a pump station. If the power goes out, your water stops. Well, with an EMP, it don't just knock out the power, it fries the systems, okay? The transformers, the pump station, all this stuff, it fries all this stuff. Water would not be moving. And that is another big player in the deaths of 90% of Americans, not having drinkable water. So, yes, we try to store up as much water as possible, but as we all know that actually do this, water takes up a lot of room and weighs a lot, okay? So you need to be thinking outside the box on this, range catchment systems, even storing water outside. You're going to have to flush it out a lot, all right? You will. Like I've said before, we flush ours every 4 to 6 months, just so that no algae growing in it, things like that. We always flush out our water, everything from our 55-gallon drums to even our 5-gallon buckets that we have sealed with lids. This way we can always have drinkable water. But you also need to have water filtration. Good water filter, all right? I've shown many different types of water filters you can use. Just make sure you have something to purify your water, all right? Now, of course, you can boil water to get purifications out, but you also have to watch out where you're collecting that water from. If there's some chemicals that are in your water, boiling it produces a gas, and actually very toxic. So make sure you're picking a good site. Look at the water first. I mean, really check this stuff out before you just start scooping up some scummy looking retention pond water that antifreeze, motor oil, everything has drained into. All right, good idea to check that out. And of course, next is food. Human body can last a while without food, but that's just enough to stay alive. Doesn't mean you're functioning correctly. I've done many different types of training where I've done food deprivation, sleep deprivation, water deprivation. When you don't have enough calories coming into your body, not enough nutrition, you don't function correctly. You think that you can, and you might be able to do it inside your home just fine, but now start traveling on foot because nothing's moving. Try to go collect water that's a mile away and walk it back. Try to stay up at night to do security on your property and you haven't eaten in days, you're going to be falling asleep. Your body starts shutting itself down because you're pushing. Most of the time when they sit there and say the studies are 21 days without food and you'll be able to live that long, 3 weeks, that's because you're sitting still and you're not moving. You're not doing things. You got to have food. So food is going to be another big thing. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be 90% of Americans, but it's going to be a lot. And we'll go ahead and cover civil unrest. If an EMP attack hit this country, here in America, it's debatable when people start acting out. All right, this isn't going to be a localized event. This is going to be massive. In other words, there's not going to be security from law enforcement. There's not going to be security from military. You know, there's really, the civilian population outnumbers the military massively. A lot of this military is going to be trying to protect the country from foreign invasion. And after an EMP, yeah, there's going to be people trying to get into America. Absolutely. The civil unrest from people, especially people not prepared, is going to be bad. You can look at, I've been through many hurricanes in my life, and one of the ones I saw, I was in Orlando, I believe it was Irma came through, and while the hurricane was going through, they had everything locked down. Police weren't even moving around at the time, the area I was at in Orlando, and I could see people running in the storm loaded down with food, sneakers, whatever they could grab. They're breaking into stores using the cover of the storm. Now, when they know that there's no one going to stop them, yeah, there's going to be more. Now, on industry attacks and stuff like that, you know, they're ripping off Walmart and stuff. Okay, that doesn't concern you. But when those supplies stop and they start looking for other supplies, they will start moving house to house. I've seen the comments of, well, when they have a food pantry line, I'm going to make sure I go out there. I'm staying away from any type of FEMA. I'm staying away from any of that stuff. Because in my theory, once you sign up for ration cards and things like that, I honestly believe you're going to have to sign up for them to do home inspections. Now, if you are a prepper, now they know what you got. And they will confiscate your stuff during an emergency like that. But the majority of confiscation, in my opinion, is going to be from the local level, your town halls, things like that, smaller towns. And they'll do it underneath the guise of, we are trying to take care of the whole community. They'll probably set up some type of soup kitchen that everybody can come into and get a hot meal once a day and fresh water, stuff like that. But if you sign up for this stuff, you expect them to come rolling in on you, okay? What you do in that department, that's up to you. I cannot tell you on this platform what to do. All right, I'm just giving you some ideas, my thought process and stuff. When it comes down to this, you need to rely on your family, the people in your household. You need to rely on what groups you have built. I've got a pretty strong group here. We do everything together. We hunt, we fish, We go camping, we do our training, we do everything. We know each other. We're like family. And I see a lot of the lone wolves. You can't trust anybody. You do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. I'm not going to tell you any differently. I will tell you this much. You will have to sleep at some point in time. You will get injured at some point in time. In my opinion, you need to have somebody on your team. But that's my opinion. And you know what? Everyone has opinions. So guys, keep an eye on this stuff with Russia. Do I expect something major here on this country? Not right off the bat. No. I believe everything's going to stay localized in those areas, maybe in the United Kingdom, well, Europe area. But if it really picks up, and which I believe it will, then yes, we're going to get hit by something. And my belief is going to be an EMP weaponry. There might be a couple strategic nukes in some hardened areas, some major cities, maybe military facilities, you know. And if an EMP does happen, guys, we've covered the nuclear power plants in this country. Check your wind maps now. You can go online, you can look at your annual wind maps. Study those. Learn if you need to move out an area. If it's possible that you are going to be hit by radioactive debris, fallout from these things. Thankfully, when those things catch fire, they don't explode like a nuclear explosion. Now, some facilities do explode, of course, because of pressurized systems and things like that. But it's not going to be like a nuclear bomb. So it's going to be isolated as far as the intense radioactive stuff. But the fallout is what you got to watch for. And that's where your wind maps come in. Make plans. All right? When you have a plan, you don't have to be fearful of anything. You have everything planned out. Have multiple backup plans on that. You've got to have plans. All right, guys, so I'm going to keep an eye on this myself. Again, no nuke went off in the Black Sea. It's just the way, you know, it's just the way people are sometimes on YouTube. I appreciate the people that contacted me, not at 2 o'clock in the morning, but hey, I get it. If it was something that had popped off, I'm glad that you contacted me. But nothing happened, all right? But now this stuff here, we're seeing the martial law. Yeah, that's expected. All right, guys. Speak to y'all later.